Okay, so bigger fish, maybe perch that you might want to catch, those types of things. And as we get to fishing, we actually do want to catch game fish, smallmouth bass, walleyes, pike, muskie. We're going to start to see yellow inside that mark. So not only can we kind of see what we're looking at by the intensity of the return, the thickness of the mark, but we can also tell by the color what kind of fish we're dealing with. If you get good at reading your sonar and get it tuned right, guys, you should be able to go through a pot of fish with 3, 4, 5, 6 different species of fish in there. You know what we got out here? White bass, white perch, right? Walleyes, muskie, sheephead. Oh boy, take your pick. You should be able to go over a pot of fish with all that in there. You should be able to identify each one of those fish because each one will send back a unique mark to your sonar unit. Okay? You need to practice that and get good at that. But color makes that much easier. Now, understand this. This sound, these pings don't travel in just kind of a random helter-skelter area. They travel down on what we call the transducer cone. Basically an upside-down ice cream cone. Understand this, though. As the water gets deeper, the cone gets wider. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear about from freshwater anglers is they want to use a wide cone. And that's absolutely false. Guys, well, I'm only fishing 8 feet of water. I want to see more. No, you don't. Because the wider your cone is, as your cone gets wider, you gain coverage, okay? But you lose the ability to separate targets. You gain coverage, but you lose the ability to separate targets. Fish that are close to the bottom are going to disappear. They're tucked into the bottom. Fish that are 1 or 2 feet off the bottom, you can't see them. We want that little bit, just be able to see a small piece of the bottom, even in shallow water, but be able to get really, really good separation, a really clear picture in that small window. So don't think that wider is better. I would tell you this, the only time I would tell you to even think about going to a cone wider than 20 degrees is if you're tracking downrigger balls. If you're not tracking downrigger balls, stick with a 20-degree cone angle. All right? You're going to cover less area, but the detail you get inside that area is going to be much better than a wider. Wider area, wider cones, more coverage, less detail. We want the detail. Be able to pick a perch off the bottom. Be able to pick up bait right on the bottom. Be able to pick a walleye just about 6 inches off the bottom. Wider cone, you can't do that. But understand this, 20-degree cone angle, the diameter of the circle you're looking at, the 20-degree cone angle is about 1/3 the depth of the water. Okay, so what are these tables? Probably 6-foot diameter tables. So that circle you're sitting at is the same area you're covering in about 18 feet of water. That's it. That's all you're seeing. So understand this, you're seeing a small area. So don't think your screen is going to light up with 1 million fish in it. It's not. You've been sold a bill of goods. Worst advertising in the world, or let me back up, not the worst advertising, actually the best advertising. The most untrue advertising in the fishing world is probably Sonar advertising. Because they show us a screen full of fish arches, right? And how many times do you see that? Never. Right? Because you're looking at a very, very, very small area. Understand that. We're looking at a small area, but we want the detail inside that area. So if you see one fish inside a circle, 18 feet below the boat, and a 6-foot circle the size of that table with your transducer directly in the middle, so that fish is only 3 feet from that transducer. If you can see 1 or 2 fish in that circle, guess how many friends that fish has? He's got a lot. So don't worry about your screen loading up. Understand you're looking at a small area. You want the detail. It's going to tell you what you need to know. Here's a picture right off from Lake Erie a couple springs ago. This picture here tells me everything I need to know to start catching fish. We show this at all of our seminars, and I asked a lot of guys, did you stop and fish there? And guys, it's about 50-50. I'm like, why would you not stop there? Are you serious? There's 4 walleyes right here in 27 to 30 feet of water, 27 to 30 feet down, over 32 feet of water. They're off the bottom, they're active, they're grouped tight together, it means they're chasing bait. I have everything I need right there to start fishing. I have catchable fish. I know they're there. I know 2 other important things. Number 1, I know they're active and moving because they're close together, they're grouped together, off the bottom. The other thing I know is this. I know where to put my baits. Because here's the biggest thing guys make mistakes at when they troll. Most people run their baits too low. You're better off to miss by 2 or 3 feet too high than you are to miss by 1 foot too low. Look at the fish you catch. Where are their eyes? High and forward. They can't see below their eye level. They can basically see in about a 45-degree angle at the middle of their eye up to about 45 degrees. That's where they can see. So I'm going to guarantee you, a lot of you, especially as you start to fish deeper water, a lot of you are fishing the right lure, in the right color, in the right size, the right action, the right shape, all the stuff you worry about, and you're fishing at 1 foot below the fish. Whoops. The wrong lure, the wrong size, the wrong color, the wrong shape, the wrong action, big, ugly, invisible line, all the crap you don't worry about, you put in front of enough stupid fish, you'll get a fish. Most of you fish backwards. I wish I had more time. We have a list at Walleye 101 we go through. It starts this way. It's location, depth of water, depth of the fish so you know where to put your lure, then speed. We draw a line, and then we go lure size, lure shape, lure action, lure color. You know the sad part? 90% of the anglers I talk to worry about stuff below the line. If you do, you're fishing backwards. Because the right lure, the right size, the right shape, the right color, the right action, everything right below the fish or in front of no fish, what'd you do? Caught nothing. Wrong lure, wrong size, wrong color, wrong shape, wrong action, even a little bit of the wrong speed in front of enough fish, you'll get bit. Most of you fish backwards. Worry about where your fish are, worry about where your lure is, know that there's fish on your sonar that can see your bait, know that your bait's above them, you'll start to catch more fish. Okay? Here's my analogy. I'm going to take you guys hunting opening day of deer season. I'm going to take you up 400-acre field, completely mowed flat. 400 acres of mud. I'm going to stand you right in the middle. Put a blindfold on, put a shell in your gun. All I want you to do is this. I want you to spin around in a circle, and when you're ready, shoot. Bang. How many of you would expect to shoot a deer? How stupid does that sound, right? That's how you guys fish. You drive out, there you go, yeah, run that stuff. And you got 12 lures behind the boat, you don't catch any on the blue, you bring in the red, blue and put a red one on. You take out the hoochie coochie and put on a woolly whopper. And ain't a fish seen none of it. And all you're worried about changing and changing, oh, bring that right, oh, look at the sun, we got to use chartreuse today. Yeah, okay. And here's the sad part. You guys run into a fish, the first fish you've seen all day, and all of a sudden that's the best lure. It's the first fish you've seen. Oh, I told you that was the best lure. Right? And here's the problem. Most of you, I can say this with pretty good confidence, most of you in this room have never, ever, ever gotten to the best lure for a day. You've never found the best lure for the day you were fishing, ever. Because most of you get 2 or 3 fish from the same thing, and what happens? Voop. It all goes back. Okay? You know when it's time to change colors and shapes and sizes and lures and maybe change up your speed a little bit? You know when that time is? When you're catching fish. Not when you're not. If you're catching fish, you know where they are, you know how deep you got to go. Now you start putting different things in that window of depth that the fish have to be over the school of fish. Now you can tell me what works. You can't drive around for 6 hours with a bunch of lures at 6 different depths and catch one-on-one lure. Oh, that was the best lure, when the best lure was 6 feet below the fish. Does that make sense?
Sure you never musky fishing?
It's fishing. Fishing's fishing. We all make the same mistakes.